Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. We've got Amazon and Apple earnings after hours. Some interesting notes from the bulls today showing me some aggressive dip buying. We'll see where we stand and whether this breakout can follow through or not. So we can see continuation for the S&P 500 off that daily bull flag. And at this point in time, we now have a whole bunch of space for a daily higher low to form next time we consolidate. I'm starting to watch for back burner bounces. And if you don't know what those are, Google TheChartGuys back burner. We got a whole video about it, but it is showing me some significant bull strength. And this morning we started with weakness as the NASDAQ rejected from our double top for a third time. We then formed a falling wedge on the 5-minute time frames, but 5-minute oversold marked the low of the day, which essentially marked SPY's hourly higher low, and we then V-shaped to higher highs. That shows me very aggressive dip buying. So we now have enough space on the daily time frame that the next time we see hourly oversold conditions and daily consolidation, I'm going to be looking to buy that dip, anticipating that bulls buy it, just like they did on the 5-minute time frame, but on a longer term time frame. So as I mentioned yesterday, my day trading lean is now bullish, and that's been shifting a bit. Bull lean on the bounce, bear lean on consolidation, back to a bull lean after the reaction yesterday. And so that just means that I'm looking to buy hourly higher lows. And I will still take some shorts, like I only traded this morning. So with how the morning started, there were only short plays, and there were some nice short plays on that fast hard drop because of where the NASDAQ rejected from. But I know that I'm interested in next hourly pullback. I'll be looking for an hourly higher low entry, and I'll be basing my day trades around looking for those hourly higher lows. Again, we're going to keep in mind that weekly consolidation is not going to surprise us the next time it happens, but I'm not going to be looking for it on a daily basis. I have to see an indication that we are losing the daily uptrend. Last weekly bounce that we saw, we had an indication that we were losing the daily uptrend. We failed a bull flag, we traded sideways, and then rolled over in a big way. So there was time to position and time to top fish, and something that would make me lean bear would be if we get a big enough pullback where I'm then scouting a lower high and looking for a top fish, perhaps bearish swing entry. But again, I'm not going to fight these bulls every day because they have full control of the daily and the hourly. They do not have control of the longer term time frames. But certainly being a short term trader, I care a lot more about the hourly and the daily. So next resistance zone, what matters the most to me is that weekly resistance. We can see all that price action, and we can just call it a zone here. We got 415.64 as the top, but essentially 405s to 415. And you can see all that price action around there. And here we are, and there's actually a whole bunch of price action. And here we are coming back into that range. So what I'm looking for, and again, I'm viewing SPY. I do not view this as a trend change because the NASDAQ is just a straight up move. There was a tiny little wick here. This is not a trend change for me. It's just the same move. And the question is, can we break that resistance? If we cannot, I will be watching for the potential of an inverse head and shoulders to confirm the weekly trend change, just like the healthcare sector did. Have utilities done it yet? Boom. Big day for utilities. They followed the healthcare sector, so we now have weekly uptrends in some of our sectors. Missing that knee train. Big gap up in utilities. I assume that's related to the solar sector news. Not sure exactly how, but credits and things like that. Anyways, SPY is looking for an hourly higher low, and we're watching this resistance zone with 415.64, the most important level. That's still about 2.5% away. Are we overextended? What about RSI levels? We're looking at the futures chart. The daily RSI is approaching 70. It's not there yet. The 4-hour RSI is definitely extended, so we won't be surprised next time we see 4-hour consolidation. But again, RSI being extended is not enough for me to be looking for bearish entries personally. There are definitely still bear plays out there. And again, today had bear opportunity. So I entered SQQQ this morning as the NASDAQ rejected from our resistance zone yet again. And then I did recognize the falling wedge, and knowing I was going to be away from the computer, I used that to exit a lot of my shorts. Did not go long while I was gone. but certainly benefiting the longer term positions. So the NASDAQ got over that daily resistance, and it is closer to its weekly resistance here. And we can see on QQQ, it's 313.96. And after hours, we have a bullish reaction from Amazon already. So markets are up even more. And it's just a question now of what's Apple going to do. And we should know probably before the end of this video. But we can see Amazon is up 10% after hours. Big bull reaction. 136 puts us into gap fill territory and at the highest levels that we've seen in 3 months. That's very significant. We just built a solid base of support, and this is the monthly bounce now underway. So Amazon bulls are happy. But QQQ's resistance, let's see, QQQ is in the 311s, approaching 312. So we are less than 1% away from weekly resistance. So the NASDAQ is potentially going to break the weekly lower highs. And if we do, we know eventually we will still need a weekly trend change here as well, but that just creates more and more space for a weekly higher low. And I will be, at this point, I am assuming a weekly higher low is going to form the next time we consolidate. I will change that if we see massive bear volume, if there is some new unknown news, or if we see all of our sectors dropping in unison for multiple days. I'm going to be watching for rotation. If it's just one sector down and another holding up and then they swap while we're consolidating, that rotation is going to be viewed as healthy by me. If you have no idea why markets are going up on that GDP reaction, I highly suggest Google searching TheChartGuys, what does priced in mean? The way that I'm viewing this is we're getting all this data, CPI, GDP, but they're all looking in the rearview mirror at the past, and the market is forward looking. And it appears that everybody was, on one side of the boat, majority bearish, and we are now shifting in terms of the market going up in response to what would be perceived bearish numbers, but a whole bunch of people were predicting this recession and predicting multiple negative GDP drops. And so the market potentially pricing in a good bit of that. So again, if you can't fathom how we're going up right now, I would suggest checking out that video. The market is really smart and forward looking. So if you're thinking the market's going to react to GDP that it already had a pretty good idea was going to come in negative, not the case. So semiconductors, and same thing with QQQ, we're going to scout an hourly higher low next time we pull back, but weekly resistance in play. Semiconductor bulls getting that continuation. Its weekly resistance is 249. Daily higher lows are our guide. When we lose the daily higher lows, our weekly consolidation will be underway. So here, same thing. Can we break 249.12 and create a lot of space for the trend change, or do we reject and create the potential for an inverse head and shoulders? And curious if this bounce is our biggest yet, or if these other ones were similar. 16% to fresh lows back then, a little bit more. So this is our best chance of holding the low just in terms of having the most space to work with. And I'm not saying we can't hit lower lows. Again, you will hear me change very quickly if I'm seeing some of the signs that I talked about. But I'm bullish as long as we're in a daily uptrend. Tesla daily higher high, getting over 842.36. Next level, 845.63, 888. Hourly and daily uptrend are our guides. Apple has an initial bullish reaction to earnings as I speak. We'll see if bulls can hold that. But QQQ is right now at that weekly resistance. Right now. Impressive. So Tesla bigger picture, already in a weekly uptrend. And now we're going to watch anything under 1153 to be a monthly lower high. But daily uptrend is our short-term guide. Healthcare sector following through with the weekly trend change. Next resistance level from here, 134.29, and then we open things up a bit, 136.94 after that. And again, we're in a weekly, daily, and hourly uptrend. Big drop this morning, bulls aggressively buying that dip. Wow. Very odd trading on the healthcare sector today. Look at that stair step. It's not officially a stair step on the 5-minute, but it was on other time frames. Apple's only up a couple percent, not a huge bullish reaction. And actually, the NASDAQ did just reject from that weekly resistance. We'll look at that in a second. That 15-minute stair step, it broke there with no real follow-through. NASDAQ futures. Weekly resistance. So we're right there. Plenty of space for higher lows if we consolidate. Apple's still trying to cling to a bull reaction. Again, it's not entirely convincing. And maybe giving it back a bit here. But we certainly know we don't have, well, we have to see what guidance and things like that are. But so far, 2 bullish reactions initially. And Amazon's still going. Financial sector, daily bull flag confirmed. Next resistance level is limited in this range. There's a gap to fill at 33.55. We zoom out. Man, I don't really like the weekly for clarity on the financial sector, so we'll stick to the daily. The simple statement is if 32.42 is support, the bulls keep their complete control. So let's see if the financial sector, our lead bear sector previously, let's see if bulls can go to work in this area without a ton of previous price history from the drop down there. IWM, follow through on the daily bull flag, weekly resistance, 190.44 coming into play, a few percent away. So very similar to the semiconductors, can we break weekly resistance or do we reject and watch for the potential of an inverse head and shoulders? Biotech sector started the morning really weak. This is a fairly common pattern. Look at that dump. I mean, that is a dump. Leveraged ETFs going 12% in 30 minutes, 35 minutes on the morning. And look at yesterday, big drop. And the day before, weakness and bulls buy the dip is what the past 3 days have been. And it was watching for that daily head and shoulders. But bulls are continuing to defend these little daily higher lows. So a little hourly trend change into the close. Still all about daily resistance of 86.41, but I have been impressed with the daily higher lows being maintained here. Solar sector, bullish news after hours yesterday as far as, my mind just went blank. As far as credits, what was it? Tax credits, whatever it was, solar sector liked it. EV names liked it a bit. Plug had a big day. Look at that day on Plug. Wow. 26%. So 10 is very convincingly breaking out of its weekly equilibrium. And look at the longer term time frames. We looked at that 6-month yesterday. 6-month higher low is now set. Let's see how long the bulls can maintain the daily uptrend. That's certainly another sector where we will be watching oversold conditions for dip buying. We didn't even get to 5-minute oversold today. But lots of space for a daily higher low next consolidation. The dollar is testing our lows. We have this 4-hour channel. Broader market bulls want to see that bear break there to head towards weekly EMA 12 support if it does break bear. I'm still just watching Apple. Apple bulls are trying to reclaim it here. We got the NASDAQ is back to testing that resistance, or at least just under it. So dollar at the lows, metals following through. So started covering the metals again yesterday because they started to show us some sign of the shift, and they're following through today with gold at the high of the day. The daily trend change confirmed. Weekly bounce very clearly underway. Granted, anything under 1879 is just a weekly lower high, but we'll take it. It is a clear momentum shift with the daily trend change. And look at silver leading the way. Showed this chart yesterday. Bulls want to see this chart break bear, showing silver relative strength and confidence in the higher risk, higher reward name. And we got that. Silver today, strongest comparative to gold than it has been in the last month. That is very notable. XAGUSD, big breakout. This retracement on the weekly for silver is already 40% plus after really just 2 green days. Increasing bull volume. This is a great start to the bounce. Let's see how much we can follow through from here. Miners, still daily resistance of 26.54, but we got some space trying to form now for an eventual daily trend change attempt. Oil, still not breaking 101, so still range bound. Came close to testing it today, but not confirming the inverse head and shoulders yet. Energy sector slowly grinding up still. And natural gas still pulling back. Those top fishing bears getting very nice follow through at this point. That pullback's double-digit percents now, 14%. Hourly oversold, only just getting there today. Bulls and the daily cup and handle is less likely. It's still possible if we look at our retracement size, but bulls need that hourly oversold to mark the daily high or low here. And aggressive bulls are looking for it to attempt to mark the high or low. So in the end, NASDAQ is testing our weekly lower high resistance. And again, the mindset that I have when I look at a chart coming from a downtrend is how many people are short, how many shorts are underwater. And if we break this level, if you have gone short on the NASDAQ in the last 3 months, you are in the red, which again puts a lot of pressure on a lot of bears. So very impressive. Pretty much we got bullish reactions from everything fundamental. I mean, Meta dropped today, but for the most part, bullish reactions across the board and notable bounce follow through. Hourly uptrends, daily uptrends, they are my guide. SPY now following through with fresh highs. Apple getting a little bit more convincing of a bull reaction. And the NASDAQ is at weekly resistance. So congrats to the bulls. Crypto, obviously a ton of strength there as well. They're still following through with breakouts. A lot of these crypto names up over 100% from their lows. And again, every higher high that we see, let's look at Ethereum. What's the probability that from this point, we're going to drop 50% and see fresh lows? Certainly possible, but what, would it take a double recession, a worsening, a housing collapse? I guess those things are on the table, but sticking with the bulls until bears prove otherwise. Have a good rest of your day. Do good things. I don't have any end of the video content. I don't like carrying my camera around. So, story time. So about a month ago, I was tubing. Nice lazy float down the river, some rapids mixed in. Nice scenery. And was enjoying myself, floating along. Felt a little sting. It's like, horsefly got me. And then shortly after, got another sting in the same spot on the side here on my abs. And, quickly grabbed and pulled up a soaked ant. An ant with just, its antennas stuck back, and it was stuck to my finger. And it was a little fire ant, one of the bigger fire ants. And so in that moment, I have a choice. I squish it, flick it into the river, and I look at that ant, and what instantly flashes through my head is, this dude is fighting for his life, and I would be doing the exact same thing. He has every justification in the world to be biting me. He's drowning and clinging on to dear life. So I swim to the side of the river and put him in the grass. And so that, in my opinion, is a good example of empathy, of just putting myself in that ant's position in that instantaneous moment. And there's a lot of humans out there who could never in a million years put themselves in the same mindset of what an insect would be like. For some of us, it's a living thing. It's very easy to do that. For others, humans are superior creatures to everything else and the center of the universe. I don't abide by that. But I think empathy is a really good thing that needs to be, I don't know, can you teach it? I guess psychological awareness for teaching empathy. Anyways, I think the world would be a lot better place if more people were able to put themselves in the position of others, all living things. See you soon. Have a great weekend.